welcome back to Gay by Gay.
How's everyone doing today?
We hope you're awesome, guys. We're gonna talk about.
Are you okay? Brain fart. Your lips started twitching, but no sound came out. What the hell was
My
that?
brain said movies, and then my brain went no, and then my brain went books, and I'm like, no! Musicals! We're talking about musicals.
We are musical freaks, man.
Musicals
Musicals are great.
All-time favorite musicals, go.
That's a big question.
That is a big
Fucking
question.
Hamilton.
Yes.
Hamilton and Heathers.
But it might not be my favorite.
I think Hamilton.
Hamilton may be my favorite just because of the staging, at least on the Disney Plus version.
Yeah.
I've never seen it live because COVID, but the staging for the Disney Plus production of it, absolutely goddamn amazing.
There's so many musicals out there, though.
There are.
I have not seen
Heathers, Legally Blonde,
Legally Blonde,
Mean Girls the musical,
Chicago.
You know what? That's hard.
Musical.
Seussical is a good one. Phantom of the Opera,
Hairspray.
I wonder whose favorite that is.
Les Mis.
I want to watch Les Mis.
Sweeney Todd,
Sweeney Todd.
The Demon Barber of Fleet
Street. There's a chorus line which I love very much, actually.
Yes,
chorus line's very dear to me. There's 42nd Street, stuff like that. I haven't seen a lot of the
Sweet
older
Charity,
ones.
Bob Fosse, anybody?
I haven't seen a lot of the older ones, and I really want to, because I love the music from there already, and because whenever I hear a song from a musical, I want to know the so it kind of draws you in.
What is it about musicals that you guys love so much? Is it the music?
The music.
Is it the singing? Is it the dancing? Is it the acting?
I watched Legally Blonde, the movie, and I definitely like the musical better. I think because there's more singing aspects to it, and I can understand the musical better than the movie, if that makes sense.
I think
understanding through music is such an interesting thing.
I think in the way seeing the live performance where they're singing, they're in character, they're passionate, and the music overcomes you in a way that is no other. It's like a Cirque show.
Gotta mention Wicked.
Yeah,
forgot to throw that one out there, but Wicked.
It doesn't need to be singing, but the music aspect.
The music
brings
is
it up.
Yeah.
The music is really, to me, what draws you into it.
Yeah.
Because whether it's the singing or the dancing or anything, it's the music. If you have good music, you have a much better chance at having a good musical.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say you automatically have a good musical, because I can think of some amazing musical soundtracks where the musical may not be all that amazing.
Yeah.
Although, when it comes...
What? Oh, my brain.
Sorry, the bleeding is
gosh.
a little internal.
My brain.
Sorry.
It's fine.
I think I had a stroke.
God is traveling.
I was going to say, can we all just agree on this? Best character, 10 out of 10, ever done in a musical, fucking Lord Farquaad. That costume design, him walking around his goddamn knees with those tiny ass boots. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I want to be Lord Farquaad.
My
But I mean, do you know what I mean? You can have great music, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have a great musical.
Yeah.
But if you have shitty music, then there is no way you will ever have a great musical.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because the music is just a big part of it. It's a huge part of it.
This is a bit of a secret that I will let the internet know. It doesn't matter what I'm watching, whether it's a ballet, a Cirque show, or a musical. The second the opening riff comes in, I almost always cry.
Yeah.
You can ask the girls; they've watched me do it.
Yep.
Every single time, my eyes will start to tear up, and I will start to cry a little bit.
It's overwhelming.
My very first Cirque show
I just
that Abby
get so
took me
happy.
to,
I get so
was
happy.
holding your hand. We're both crying our eyes out. It was so great.
Some of my favorite openings: the opening to Hamilton.
Oh.
The opening to Phantom of the Opera, the second that organ starts, my eyes go, my heart goes, I'm just I ascend into the heavens. The second I hear the opening riff to Wicked, my entire soul leaves my body. I'm just there she goes. But yeah, Chicago, Charlie, for you.
I love Chicago. I love Roxy Hart. I want to be here.
You want to be her or you want to do her? Catherine Zeta-Jones, anybody?
I'm so biased to Legally Blonde too. I love Legally Blonde, but I love
all the girls.
I love Laura
I like
Bell
how
Bundy.
you just snuffed through your nose so hard.
I love
let me know
Laura
if you guys
Bell
heard that.
Oh, they definitely heard it.
You know what musical I haven't watched that I need to watch because it's
SpongeBob?
gay? No, Rent. I haven't seen Rent.
Well, at the time you didn't say it was gay yet, so of course I assumed it was SpongeBob.
Well, I want to watch that, but Rent is I've heard it's amazing, so I would need to watch that.
Heathers, the gay undertones there.
Oh my, yeah, Leah Heathers.
That giggle though. Shrek the Musical is the thing. Oh, Cats. The
Cats.
dancing in Cats.
Yeah, dancing is
I
Cats.
don't like the competition. When like
going to dance
people-
competitions,
yeah.
hearing them singing, not the
and
best
then they
thing.
do it. I'm just like,
No.
I love the dancing in a chorus line.
Yes.
I love the dancing. You
Yes.
need to see it. I need to show you a chorus line.
I've seen like
You would
clips.
love it. You would love it.
Yeah.
Good. I love it.
It's such a real story,
It is
too.
so good.
It's
Oh
such
my
a real
God.
story.
I love it.
Oh my god, 6.
Six.
Six. Didn't mention that
Brand
one.
new
Six.
one, yeah.
Yes. Very,
So
very
good.
good. Such
Love the
talent.
soundtrack.
Oh my God.
Welcome
Singing.
to the house of Holbein.
God.
I love these musicals coming out and challenging what a musical is.
Yeah, it's that
I
question
love
of
that.
what is a musical? What makes it
It's
a
anything.
musical?
It's just storytelling.
It's
And
good.
that's
At
the
its
best
finest.
part. That's the best
At
part.
its finest.
I love the Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon.
yeah,
Mormon.
love it.
So good. So good.
So, getting into your favorite musicals, if you have to choose one to discuss right now, which one would you discuss, Charlie?
Hamilton.
Aaliyah? Tough question because you took Hamilton.
Yeah, true. To
Because
discuss.
I was going to say Hamilton too, and now I gotta come up with another one.
Sorry.
To discuss?
Ask me go first.
Yeah.
Like right now to talk about.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to talk about Legally Blonde.
I would
Yeah.
discuss Phantom of the Opera because
Yeah.
that's my fallback after Hamilton.
Yeah.
So let's go down the line here. Let's start with Hamilton because for all of us, I think that would absolutely rank as maybe the top one. Like,
Yeah. Top 3
top
at least.
1 to top 3. Because
Yeah.
for me, I go back and forth. Phantom of the Opera may still take number 1 just because it was the
You've seen it live and everything?
I've seen it live
Yeah.
on Broadway in New York City, and that is a very special memory to me. And Phantom of the Opera, the story behind it always breaks my heart. It's just very special to me. But Hamilton, immediately after watching it, rose up the ranks so goddamn quickly that my tracking meter
Yeah.
fucking
And-
snapped
and
at the end. And
I
I was
remember
like,
first talking about it with you because you were a little bit late to knowing what it was because it boomed and then it went a little bit quiet and then it boomed
Because it was
again.
in
Yes,
like 2000,
yes.
like what, 16?
And I didn't
Yes.
know if you
Yeah.
would like it that much because it has the hip hop undertones.
and here's the thing, I did not think I would like it because I had heard a couple of samples, and
Yeah.
that's why I didn't get into it, because I don't like rap and I don't like hip hop. And yet I have to tell you, this is probably one of, if not my favorite soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely
great.
love it.
So amazing.
Everything from Skylar Sisters to Right Hand Man to Guns and Ships.
Oh, Guns and Chips.
I'm sorry,
Guns.
Diggs. If
Yeah.
you are
She
out there
loves-
and you hear me, I may be asexual or suspected asexual.
Suspected.
Suspiciously?
Suspiciously asexual. That's going on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Suspiciously asexual.
Safe.
But Diggs, if you ever hear this, I will marry you. I will carry your children, and I will love you for all of
You
my
don't
days.
even have to ask her. She's already
The
saying
answer is
yes.
The answer
She
is
loves
yes.
you. God
Oh
damn
my
it,
gosh.
man.
You want to take me for dinner? Yes. You want to marry me? Yes. You want me to carry your babies?
Yeah.
Yes. Literally,
Can we
just yes.
Put a note out there for the amount of musical numbers
Oh.
and music that are in that show.
They don't even have
The
switch-
genres,
Oh, yeah.
the just everything
They
about
don't
that musical was
you know how
amazing.
usually in every musical there's this 10-second black.
Well,
Never.
They
Never.
usually have scenes before
Yeah.
that too.
With the Disney Plus version was flawless in their
literally-
changes.
It flows.
Everything. Even one of my favorite scenes in that musical is Yorktown.
Yeah.
The world turned upside down
Yeah.
when they are moving all
In
of the
slow
props and
motion.
everything
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, amazing.
And or Eye of the Hurricane, where everything is swirling
Yeah.
around him and they're
Oh
moving the
my
props to
gosh.
change the scene. Just everything fits so goddamn perfectly. And the fact
the
that
Lazy
Manuel
Susan and
Miranda
everything.
did the whole goddamn thing by
Yeah.
himself, I have so much mad respect
I
for
know.
you. Like,
Dude, how are
honestly,
you
one of my
still
favorite
here?
people on the planet.
What a theater nerd.
I want
I
to
love
be
him.
you, Lin Man. She loves Diggs. I want to be you.
I want to see him doing In the Heights because he did that a
Yes,
while ago, and
yes.
I want to see that as well. We didn't talk about this one. What is it called? West Side Story.
Oh yeah, original West Side
were you
Story.
forced to watch West Side Story in high school?
No, I was not.
I was in
I
my
was
high
not.
school dance class.
I was not.
The
Yeah.
only reason I watched it was because I had this Elvis Presley magazine,
Mhm.
and it showed that he dated Natalie Wood.
Grease.
So
Grease.
I love Grease.
But back to Hamilton for a minute.
Yeah, back
As
to
we're getting
Hamilton.
distracted, we get distracted because we start talking about musicals and we just go.
Yeah.
But with Hamilton, I realistically, you guys know me. I am such a picky person.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can say anything bad about the show.
Literally.
I don't know that I can say anything bad about the soundtrack. I don't think I can say anything bad about any of the actor choices, any of the,
It was just all perfect. It's perfection.
I can't say anything bad about it. And I am almost never left at a loss for criticism.
Yeah.
I am a very critical person. I can't say anything negative.
Yeah.
I can't.
it was just so good.
I think the one thing for me that makes me think a little bit is that it's so rooted in history, but to the point where Hamilton also has other children. You know that, but that one son is just drove in, Philip. It's just drove in a lot.
Well, it's because he had the most tragic story.
I know, but it's like, where are they? Where are the other kids?
But I think it's because almost every major character that wasn't like one of the main characters in basically every scene doubled over.
They did it with such a small cast.
Exactly, and that's me. That's even more me.
Saving money.
Do you know how long it took me to figure out that James Madison and Herc were the same person?
I don't know how you didn't know that.
Yeah.
It never registered until like I really stopped and thought about it, and then I was like, oh my god, it is the same person.
Like, you can, the first time you watch it, you're like, hey, aren't they the same? But
figuring out that Peggy and Mariah Reynolds was the same person, I was like,
because
it is the same person.
They're two different like aspects of the people.
They were just so opposite to me that it never dawned on me. Like, there's a familiarity there, and yet it never dawned on me that they were literally the same person for some reason.
Because I listened to the whole soundtrack.
And Diggs, I don't care whether you're playing Lafayette or whether you're playing Thomas Jefferson, you are my everything.
Abby and Lafayette, oh my gosh.
I love it. I love it. And even then, you know, as I said, like, there's just nothing bad I can say. There's not a single song that I dislike.
Yeah.
And I don't think I could even say that for Phantom of the Opera. There are some songs from Phantom of the Opera that I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
I can't say that with Hamilton.
Yeah.
There's not a single song that I will not listen to.
It's amazing.
Whenever I'm doing like my homework, that's the only thing I'll listen to is the Hamilton soundtrack.
It's all catchy. It's all like catchy and interesting, but in different ways.
Yeah. Very different. Like, you cannot say that Hurricane is so different from Schuyler's Sisters, is so different from Right Hand Man, is so different from Guns and Ships, is so different from just literally everything.
And I think something I appreciate a lot in it is the scores that run throughout the whole.
Yes.
It's amazing. Oh my gosh. I love it when they do that, when the rhythms appear in other songs from
and you recognize them.
I love that so much.
One of the ones that made me the saddest, one of the songs they cut out was called Congratulations. It was one of Angelica Schuyler's songs.
Oh, I love that one.
I love Congratulations. I'm sad that they cut it out. But Satisfied. Love that song.
Satisfied.
I love the fact that watching it side by side, watching Satisfied and Helpless side by side, and you realize like it's literally the same scene just from a different perspective. It's done so well. Perfectly.
So well.
There's not a single bad thing I can say. And I know, like, I'm not a real critic, so this probably doesn't, like, my opinion probably matters shit all to them. But just know that I love it. Yeah. And I am a very critical person, and I can't say anything negative.
I feel like most people feel like this, though. They just love
I know,
Hamilton.
There are probably some history buffs that are like, you didn't get that right, you didn't get that right.
But it's not always about that.
No, and that's the thing. It's art. And art, to some extent, you do have to take creative liberty with.
It's for interpretation and to go through the story to feel the feelings.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what it's for. Well, I mean, I don't know. I didn't write it. Like,
just all I can say is to the entire cast, so well done. To the people who staged it for Disney Plus, their production of it, so well done. The music, the thought, just everything about it.
I will say that like I love the original cast, but I give kudos to anyone who played any of those roles ever.
Yes.
Even like because you know there's shows of it running at different times with not the same cast.
I'm sorry, but I cannot accept any other Lafayette or Thomas Jefferson into my heart. I can't. I'm biased.
And I love how all the characters there's no bad guy.
No,
and
they're just people.
Guy.
They're just people.
Yeah, they're just people. Yeah, I love that.
It's from everyone's different perspective. There are times that I go, oh my god, Hamilton was such an asshole. And there are other times that I look at him and he's such a sympathetic character that you're like, how can you not? And you look at Thomas Jefferson and you go, what a dick. And then you realize that at some point he looks at Hamilton and says, weren't you Lafayette's friend? How can you abandon him when you promised you would be there for him? And you're like, damn, like Jefferson's in the right here and Hamilton's wrong.
Yeah.
Or when you look at Burr and you realize like he's just trying to go about things in his own way.
Yeah.
And just Hamilton keeps getting one over on him, and eventually it all just gets to the point that it snaps, and then he regrets it because he's a person.
And then the comedic relief of the king. Ooh,
there is nothing wrong with that king.
No, he's perfect.
He's the perfect king.
I love him.
I want to be him.
You are him.
I am him.
You are him.
I am him.
There will be times when the song will be playing, me now we'll just stare at each other and
we
sing
will
the
lip
whole
sync
thing.
it to each other. Yes, absolutely amazing.
We sing Hamilton all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Now that we talked about Hamilton, because I could go on forever about Hamilton. What musical did you choose?
I said Legally Blonde.
I
I love Legally Blonde.
Believe it or not, I had not watched it until recently. Aaliyah sat me down and we watched it
I
together.
forced them to watch it.
It was very good.
good.
It was far better than
So
I was
good.
expecting it to be. It's far better than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's so...
It has no right to be that good, but it is.
so good. Oh my god.
It's catchy, it's funny, it's quirky, it's cute. I like it.
I'd like to say something before I start talking about any of this. That one number where it's the stereotypically old woman, it's Whipped into Shape. Where she's doing the jumping, the jumping
rope?
the rope, and she's singing at the
In the
same
prison?
fucking
How
time.
do you do that?
Amazing.
Bruh.
She is a
respect.
goddess.
I respect so much.
I can barely talk
Right?
and breathe at the same time while I'm teaching.
I
I have
can't-
no idea how she did that on stage.
I can barely talk and sit at the same time. Like, wow. Like, that's
I can't
so amazing to me. And I love...
The characters are, like, the characters that you hate are hateable in a lovable way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Vivian, like when I watched like
you want to hate them, and yet there's something about them where you're like,
Yeah.
I can't fully hate you.
when I watched like the movie, I didn't like Vivian in the movie because she didn't look as mean as the one in the musical.
Yeah.
in the musical, she looks like a
She's
bitch.
so mean, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I love you.
And yet, and at the end of the day, she's there. She's like
nice.
girl power, and I'm just like, God damn it, you redeemed yourself. How'd you do that?
I love how
You're so awful.
her sorority sisters are always supportive of what Elle wants to do.
I just love the fact that
Everything,
they show up
yeah.
like a gospel choir.
I
I wish I
know.
had a gospel choir
in their
behind
white
me.
outfits of the same...
Whenever
Oh.
I needed someone to just back up my decisions, like I wish I had a gospel choir to follow
Yeah.
me around, like
I-
goddamn Hercules. Hercules, you mean Hercules?
I love...
Whenever, okay, this is a bit of a side thing.
Yeah.
Whenever I think about Hercules, the movie,
Uh-huh.
which you've probably never seen.
I've never seen
You've
Hercules.
never seen Hercules. The muses in that movie.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlie, have you seen Hercules? The one bigger gospel girl. I'm sorry, Alina, you're not gonna understand this. That is your mother.
What? Did you see it, Charlie? That's not what I expected.
Do you see it, Charlie? Do you see it, Charlie?
Yeah, we can watch that.
We'll watch it after, but
Gosh.
okay, so if anyone ever has to wonder, Aaliyah's mother, if you've ever seen Hercules, the one curvilicious muse is her mother.
My mom.
It's her mom.
Is she sassy?
Very. She literally says the phrase, Hercules, honey, you mean Huncules. Like,
Oh,
that is your mom.
that is my
That
mom.
is your mom. That sounds like a
Anyways,
Yo Mama joke, but it's not.
Legally
Blonde. Sorry, I know that was like way
I
off.
love Legally Blonde, and it's not even because it's Laura Bell Bundy and she's blonde and stuff. I love the.
We just showed Aaliyah a picture. That is your mom.
I think so.
Just from looks alone, yes.
I love her transition between, like, she doesn't act entitled.
No.
She acts.
No, at no point.
She's so humble.
She
but
acts
she has so much.
She maybe a little bit ditzy, but never entitled. Never like I have a right to this.
No, not at all. Like, to a major extent, she'll get down on herself,
Yeah.
but then she picks herself back up, and ultimately she does put in the
She
work.
works hard.
Even to
Yeah.
get to go to school. And the whole thing is, I'm chasing the man I love, and yet she's not, like, she's like, no, I need to get in this school, so someone pay my way in. She's literally
Yeah,
willing
working to do it
because
for
her
it.
dad says you have to get this
Yeah.
certain score.
Yeah.
And, like, you have to get in on your own
She-
merit, and she does.
She loses her social life.
I mean,
for it.
it's kind of questionable the reason that she's
Yeah.
doing it, but ultimately that doesn't matter because she still puts in the
still
work.
I mean, I do.
What does the
like-
motivation matter?
I do like the principle of it though, because she's sitting there and she's like, I'm gonna do this to be
For
with
love.
the person I
For
love.
love.
And I love that concept, even though I hate him.
Yeah.
I love that concept.
Of doing it for
What's
love.
his name?
Yeah,
Warner.
just because I'm so like
Just being able to do literally anything for the power
I'm
of
so
love.
sappy like that. But I also love how she goes from like, oh, like I don't.
She
know how to
absolutely has a
study.
good character arc. She does.
Yeah, but she never loses herself.
And that's exactly it. Is that even when she solves like that case
Yeah.
on the bench, after everything that's happened to her, she still walks in that courtroom like a boss ass
Yeah,
lady
yeah.
and solves the problem with the best way that she knows
I
how.
know.
And she's goddamn right. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't get over the two gays in the courtroom.
Oh, gay or European. Oh, I love
Gay
that.
or European. I mean, is there a more perfect musical number except any of the ones from Hamilton?
He's gay and European.
He's gay and European.
Oh,
And I
love
know
it.
because I did the bend and snap and he didn't look at me.
I mean, saying that Brooke Wyndham like was a sorority in her sorority and all of that. I get that that's a little unrealistic. However, for the story,
It's
works.
funny. It's goddamn
Yeah.
funny.
I think it's funny. I love it.
And Honestly, I think it all comes down to the fact that everyone looks down on Elle as the ditzy blonde. And yet, if it weren't for the fact that she was, the plaintiff or the client never would have shared her secret if she hadn't been in that sorority.
Yeah, like
and then she never would have been able to solve the case if it hadn't been her knowledge and her background and her friends. Yeah. There never would have been a resolution. Yeah. And so it's literally no one else could have solved it except for her.
Someone like Warner or Vivian wouldn't have been able to do that.
And that's exactly it. And they're like, well, I'm better at this, and this is my thing, and I'm doing it for all the right reasons. But ultimately, the reasons don't matter. The experience matters.
I love how when she gets put on the apprentice list, she has that whole change of, I feel so much better about myself.
Literally.
Then I'm doing this for me now. I'm not doing this for that guy.
And she even recognizes the change. She's not like, I don't know when it changed. There's no song like that. It's just immediately like, no, honey, I'm doing this for me now.
I love that. That is
we love a strong lady on stage.
I think the biggest thing for me is how she grows like that, but she never changes her personality. She never
sacrifices herself.
She never conforms
for anybody else.
Even when she gets embarrassed, like when at the party and everything,
she still stays herself. And I have to mad respect that. As someone who would label themselves as a bit of a chameleon, where I will blend in with whatever group is around me, because I like to be a bit more of a wallflower. Someone who can walk in and stay themselves no matter what is like one of the strongest people to me. Yeah. Like, I can't get over that.
My favorite is Paulette.
Paulette is so good.
I feel like I am Paulette sometimes. Because you guys are constantly like, Abby, you're this, you're that, you're gorgeous, and I'm just like, ow, my back. My back. Look how good you're getting. Like, whenever you guys are like, Abby, do this thing for TikTok, I feel like I am Paulette, where I'm like, ow, and you're like, look how good you're doing it.
You're doing it.
I'm just like, ah. Although I do have to say, like, Paulette getting the sexy UPS guy, that will never stop cracking me up. The way he fucking walks. Like, he walks and he stops and then he turns and goes, and I'm like, oh.
The productions of musical numbers in this musical is amazing. They're huge. So big.
Is it weird if I say I almost feel like Legally Blonde is like Barbie in the Dreamhouse Fantasy as a musical?
Yeah.
But like smarter and better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Smarter and better.
Smarter and better. So moving on to the last one, Phantom of the Opera. You two have like no experience with this musical.
No. How do you feel about...
That makes me very sad.
I'm sorry.
It is absolutely, like, it is not meant to be cute or fun or anything dark. Like that. Not that it has, like, not that it doesn't have its moments, but literally just that...
It's definitely more of a drama than a comedy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is the real tragedy behind it for me. Because a lot of people go, oh, it's the romance. And I go, no, it's not the romance. Yeah. It's the tragedy of the man. The man and the monster. Because the whole idea behind Phantom of the Opera, I mean, I'm sure you guys know the story. Yeah?
A little bit, yeah.
Vaguely.
My heart is breaking right now. So the whole story is just kind of... I'm trying to decide where to start, whether I should start at the beginning of the musical or whether I should start at the beginning of the quote-unquote story that gets revealed throughout the musical. I'll start at the beginning of the musical, to be fair. So basically, there's a young dancer at the time named Christine Daae, and she's a great dancer, but what nobody knows is that she's an amazing singer. She lives at and works for the the Opera House in Paris. And basically her father used to be a violinist there, and when he died, she became an orphan because her mother was already dead, and so they took her in, and nobody knows that she can sing. She's been getting secret music, like vocal lessons from what she calls her angel of music, which is actually, we find out, the Phantom of the Opera. Who is not a phantom at all. He's a very real person that lives underneath the opera house and within the walls of the opera house. Kind of gives me a bit of the boy vibes.
Yeah,
great.
But I guess at one point they get new managers, and the prima donna, literally prima donna, starts going off and she quits. And then someone suggests Christine take the place, and they're all like, oh no, she can't do it. And yet because she's had all this training from the Phantom, she's an amazing singer, and she immediately becomes the new prima donna of the company. Yeah. And basically, her childhood sweetheart comes back and they start falling in love. But what nobody knows is that the Phantom is a very real person. and he's also fallen in love with Christine. And there are some creepy undertones here because he's much older than her, or at least it's projected that he's much older than her. But he falls in love with her because she is everything he is not. He was born with a very disfigured face, so ugly that his father left or died or something, and his mother wouldn't even touch him, left him alone for days at a time. And eventually,
that's horrible. He
ran away, was captured by a circus, and was used as a circus freak and treated worse than the animals at the circus. He was used as like an attraction because of his facial deformity. It's said in some of the books that he literally looks, half of his face looks like a skeleton. There's no flesh on it. There's no nothing, and it's just like one deep, almost empty eye socket, except you can see like a small yellow light for his eye. Like it's very dark and very grim. And basically it's the story of how he's so in love with Christine, but she's in love with this kind of, he's like, he's not a duke. He's like the Vitcom, which I don't know how to describe to you guys. He's borderline royalty in that sort of area, like high standing, rich, you know what I mean? And so it's about how Christine isn't in love with him, and he doesn't know how to accept that, and he literally goes like goddamn bonkers crazy. And yet it's so tragic because at the end, all he ever wanted was someone to love him, and he fell in love with Christine because she was everything that he wasn't. Yeah. And yet, at the same time, if it hadn't been for him, Christine wouldn't be what she is. And the tragedy for me is that not only was the Phantom a virtuoso, he wrote operas. He basically ran the opera house by sending orders to the director of the opera house. He trained Christine. He was also the builder of the opera house. He was a writer. He used to work like in Persia building torture traps and death traps.
Jeez. Oh Lord.
Like he was literally so insanely smart, and yet nobody could get past his face. He was never loved.
That's
no matter
so
how
sad.
smart he was, no matter how talented he was. And that breaks my heart. And at the end of it all, he lets Christine go because he loves her so much that he can't bear to keep her trapped with him.
Just imagine being like the smartest person in the whole world and
Literally.
having everything, but
He
just
literally
because of the way
built
you look, no one likes
built
you.
the goddamn opera house. He ran the opera house. He wrote the music for the opera house, put on the productions for the opera house, and yet no one could get past his face.
That's so horrible.
He was never loved by anyone, and that's all he ever wanted. And that broke my heart because it really highlighted to me, everyone said, oh, it's a monster, and yet no one ever saw that here was a real and genuine man, and the monster was all the people around him because they couldn't get past his face to see the person that he was. And so he became a monster like everyone kept calling him.
Oh. Never judge a book by its cover. Prime example.
It breaks my heart so much, and I love the gothic undertones and everything else because you guys know me. I'm a vampire. But it just, the tragedy behind it, the whole idea that, you know, he was literally about as perfect as a person could be, and yet that wasn't enough because he didn't have the face to go with it.
Yeah.
And that's really sad. That destroys me. That kills my heart.
How do you feel about the operatic nature of the musical?
I actually enjoy it, honestly. Yeah. I mean, opera's not my favorite style, but ultimately the singing is amazing in the productions that I've seen of it, and, you know, the vocal range that they have to go through, because it's not just opera. They also do a lot of alto work. The range that these people have to have is insane. And honestly, I do enjoy all the music and everything else from the musical. It is very good. I can understand that it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I wouldn't say that it's perfect, but ultimately, it will forever remain one of my top favorites just for the story alone. And again, to me, it's not the romance. It's not the, you know, he just loved Christine so much. It's not about that for me. It's about the tragedy of his character. And that is what draws me to the musical, because it just, if I ever need to like let out emotions, that's one of the places that I will go to do it, because it's just like, you know, it rips you apart and you end up rebuilding yourself afterwards. As weird as that sounds. It just, my heart.
Ever since you watched it in New York, I've always been wanting to watch it.
And the hard part is that the best we have are bootleg versions, which aren't the best versions. But I also wouldn't say that the movie version, the one by Andrew Lloyd Webber, even though he wrote the music for the musical and everything, I wouldn't say that the movie is the best way to watch it because those aren't the best characters and everything. So it's very hard for me because I feel like if you watch the movie, it's a better production value and everything, but I don't know that you're going to get the real feeling from it. To me, that's almost one of those musicals that you have to be in the room for because there will never be anything as chilling as hearing the organ music bouncing off the walls in this giant like venue that's like glitzed and glammed up. Like there's nothing like it in the world. But yeah, I love it. You guys said like nothing the entire time because you guys literally know nothing about it.
It sounds terrifying, but I want to watch it.
I love it. I do. I feel like, Charlie, if you watch it, the opera might not be your thing and the music might not be your thing, but I think the characters would be your thing.
Yeah.
Aaliyah likes blonde girls.
Hey!
That's it.
I like Deep Thing.
Deep thing.
Only one?
Deep thinky. Big brain deep thinky.
I can handle one deep thing every 3 days. Internal or external.
Gosh.
Oh,
she's talking about her toys now. I think we should end the episode, guys.
All right, so musicals. What's your favorite musical? Let us know.
Yeah.
You know, do you agree with any of our opinions? Do you disagree with any of our opinions? However, if you try to tell me that Diggs is not the best person on the planet, I will find you and I will fight you. Not violently, like completely, but I might
yell in your face and she will make
I
you
will
cry.
point at you aggressively.
Give us recommendations. We're always looking for new musicals to
Oh,
watch.
absolutely.
Your favorite
Absolutely.
ones. Oh, I love it.
Everything about it.
I love musicals. I love performance.
One day it will come back.
Yes.
After the C19, one day we will have it back.
Yeah.
And we will celebrate by going to a musical together.
I hope so.
All right, that is it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening.
Yes, take it gay by gay, guys.
Bye.